Welcome, everyone. This is episode 14 of the 300 Club podcast. My name is Gil. Got my co-host Kelvin right here.
What's going on, everybody?
And we here, man, with another installment. We're gonna break down some Mets news, some Yankees news, where the Mets are at currently in the wild card race. We got the Yankees battling for first place. Got some news with Glaber, Marcus Stroman, player rotation, Pete Alonso, he's cold. Brandon Nimmo is cold, and we'll see how the rest of the year ends.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. What's going on, Gil? What's been going on since the last time that we spoke? The last episode that we had, we were talking about the All-Star break and the trade deadline. And now that it's been a week removed from that, how do you feel about it so far? What's going on? Like, have you seen Blackburn pitch? What are your thoughts on him so far?
I have yet to see Blackburn pitch. He did pitch once, but I didn't see that game. And then the bullpen, I forgot his name, dark skinned guy. I don't want to mispronounce his name. I did see the game against the Angels where he blew the lead. I believe we were down 2-0. Then JD Martinez goes up to the bat with the bases loaded. I
And
believe
Ben Choice.
Ron Darlin jinxed it. JD Martinez is a grand slam. Now we taking the lead 4-2, heading into the seventh. Bottom seventh, and our reliever that we traded for, he got the first two outs. Then I believe he walked two straight batters. Mendoza still let him go because we got a two-run lead. And yeah, we just allowed a three-run home run to Nato, Zach Nato, I believe is his name, the infielder
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
Roots. It's a three-run home run. Now we down one. Then another run comes in. Now we down two. And then we don't score. Then go fast forward to the top of the ninth. You're facing Ben Joyce. Haven't seen much of this guy, but apparently this guy throws 105. That's what I see on my screen.
He's nasty, bro. He's
Wow, what
nasty.
the hell, bro? I thought the A's made
Yeah.
Sevilla through cheese, but this guy's different, bro.
Yeah, real quick. I just want to give a shout out to our podcast, man, the 300 Club. We already got 16 subscribers. We're growing. Make sure you guys follow us on our YouTube page at the 300 Club Podcast. We also are on Instagram where we post the majority of our content. We post clips of everything that we talk about in every episode. So make sure that you guys follow us at the 300 Club Podcast. We're also on X and TikTok as well. So make sure you guys like and support our page. So let's go ahead and dive into the Mets. Like you mentioned before, we had a tough series against the Angels of all teams. The Angels, that was crazy.
And and
Th-
and on top of that, I feel like we were rolling. We won the first game on Friday, as you can see, 5-1, and we lose the next game 5-4. We made a little comeback, but we just couldn't hit Ben Joyce in the last inning. And it's like, damn, like that would have been nice winning two games there. Maybe we sweep the series because everything is about momentum and how you play off your last game. So maybe, but to give them some grace, I feel like as well as the Mets have been playing, the schedule doesn't really do them any favors. If you mind showing that again one more time.
oh, I'm sorry, I got you.
Yeah. And I've never seen a schedule this awkward. So as you can see, they're playing the Angels for three. They just played them. They have a makeup game today, Monday, against the Cardinals. The Mets are currently winning at this time. Then they got to travel to Colorado, travel to Seattle. Then they have an off day, and that's about 8,000 miles combined. Talk about jet lag. Then you stay home against the A's. You play the Marlins. You play the Orioles. That's a tough series. Go down a little more.
Yep, yep.
Then you go back to California again to play the Padres. Then you go to Arizona and you go to Chicago. Like I feel like it's just a lot of traveling. And as you can see, they only have one homestand this whole month, which is what, 3, 6, 9 days.
Yeah, yeah, and it's sporadic competition. Like if you look at it, you
Yeah.
guys are playing against teams that, not for nothing, you guys should win. Exactly. It's a lot of flip-flops, a lot of bad teams, a lot of good teams. So it's really hard to like right now I feel like the Mets are in a position where at this point in time, they're in the playoffs. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of mentality, like you got to treat every game like a playoff game.
Yeah. They
Those
know
two
how.
last, yeah, those two last games against the Angels, those are games that they should have won. They were
Yeah.
very, very close knit. But like we mentioned before, Ben Joyce, that dude is a stud. He
Yeah.
throws 105, and he doesn't even have a full wind up with his arm. It stays right here.
Crazy, bro.
Crazy. I wish nothing but great success for that guy. I hope that his arm stays healthy. I hope that he stays healthy because I could just see something like that eventually. As we now know, if you throw hard, you're most likely gonna have some type of arm injury, as sad as it
Yeah.
is.
Some
The,
point.
the human
Yeah.
body is not supposed to throw that hard.
Rate
So
that whip effect. Yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you a different question. If you're the Angels, would you trade him?
Honestly, bro, it's hard to say, bro, because if I remove myself from looking at this as an Angel, I feel like they have one of the worst organizations in baseball. I feel like their owners doesn't really support them trying to win. I feel like nothing that ever they ever go for works out. So by giving him up, yeah, you might trade for some prospects in return, but who's to say those prospects, they'll turn out? But then again, you're keeping one of that a player that could be one of the best relievers in the game going forward, potentially if he figures
Yeah.
it out.
And it's not just him.
And it's not just him, but then you're not competing. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I feel like they should trade even Mike Trout at this point, but they don't want to do
All right.
that.
And then let's dive into that a little bit. I know we want to talk about Mets and Yankees this episode, but we do talk about general baseball discussion. And one of the breaking news that happened since the last time that we recorded is the fact that Mike Trout is not going to be out for the remainder of the season
Had a setback, yeah.
because of his he tore his meniscus once again. I've dealt with meniscus issues in the past. It's very uncomfortable, dude. I'm not gonna lie, like it hurts. It hurts, but more not about the pain, but just the discomfort. It feels as though like sometimes that you have like locked knee, you can't really put a lot of weight on it. For him, I worry, but not as much as another case because at least it's his left knee where he just has to pivot that left knee in order to swing them back. It's not the knee in which he puts the rest of his weight on. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I feel like, if there's a saving grace, I think that might be it. But also, the Angels are not going anywhere. So even though we love to see him play, they're not going anywhere. He might as well sit out the rest of the year. It just sucks that this has now been 6 complete years that we have not seen a healthy Mike Trout. And I don't know where his career is going to go from here, man. What are your thoughts on that?
And it sucks because back when he was healthy, his last healthy season was 2019 until he got hurt in September. Um,
2020 don't count either. Like,
2020,
honestly.
yeah. But ever since then, he hasn't been able to play more than any games consistently like that. And that's like what, barely half of the year. And it sucks because that's a guy that me growing up, I'm like, yo, this dude has the talent to be arguably the greatest player of all time. The WAR backs him up, the advanced numbers back him up, but it's like now we kind of getting robbed of that greatness. And I saw a tweet that was comparing his second half to his career similar to Ken Griffey Jr., where it's like they have this guy with like unlimited potential, superstar status, top 2 player, and their body is breaking down. So for me, I wish he could go to another team. Maybe he doesn't have to feel the burden of carrying the team. I wanna see him playing winning baseball in a competitive team. I'm tired of seeing his greatness being wasted by a team that doesn't make the playoffs. I feel like it kind of skews the way people perceive him. And now you have Otani and Judge in this era, like rising to the occasion. Where's Trout at? You know what I mean? So that's what I
Yeah.
want.
No, I feel like the game is definitely missing him. But as we know, sometimes a change of scenery can help the player, And a perfect example out of that, which is something that I actually want to share with you really quickly, is Luis Severino for the Mets. Who would have
Yeah,
known that this guy would be 7-4 with an ERA under 4? Yeah, the ERA is not the best, but compared to how he's been pitching previously with the Yankees, I mean, the dude has been excelling, in my opinion. He's still young. He's 30 years old. He's figuring it out. I think he's on a 1 year deal with the Mets, but on top of everything else, he's healthy, and
yeah,
that's the biggest key in terms of playing. You have to remain healthy. You have to be able to be on the field. That starts with that. So I just want to give a special shout out to Luis Severino. I think a change of scenery when it comes down to Mike Trout will probably be the best thing for him. We shall see. But as we look into like the Mets calendar, as we mentioned before, it's a lot of flip flopping, a lot of good teams, bad teams. But I think we can all agree that they're probably gonna win against the Cardinals right now. Hopefully, they're up against the Rockies.
yeah,
They're nearly dead last. The Mariners are, they're there. The Athletics, those should definitely be wins. The Marlins should definitely be wins. And then you have the O's. If you guys could do the Yankees a favor and beat the O's, hey, I'll take that. You look at the Padres, and then you look at Arizona, who's Arizona's trying to make a playoff push, and then you finish the month off with the White Sox. There's no excuse as to why the Mets should be able to finish this month with a positive record. And again, they're in the playoff hunt right now. They are playing playoff baseball. As we look at the standings right now, they're a game and a half back of
yeah,
being in that wild card. Now,
yeah,
I do see them probably doing better than the Diamondbacks. I'm not gonna lie. You
yeah. They
know,
get rolling, yeah, for sure. I
whatever. As far as I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I go
No, I was gonna say as far as like projections go, I mean, with this schedule, like, do you see them making a playoff push as of right now?
I see it. I see they have a favorable schedule. I feel like as long as you could try to go 500 on the road and go over 500 at home, that's a success. They have the weaker teams coming in the home stretch, those 9 games that we saw. So you got to capitalize on that. You got to beat the opponents that you got to beat. Like you already missed out on the Angels. You got to capitalize now with the White Sox coming up, with the A's, the Marlins, teams like
Yeah.
that. Hopefully you could get a game or two out of the Orioles, and same thing against the Padres and the Diamondbacks.
And in addition, if you look at the Padres and Diamondbacks right now, who are in the wild card,
So you're
the Mets
facing,
gotta beat them. They
yeah,
gotta
you're
beat
facing
them.
you're facing your potential opponents, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Now,
that's good,
as
yeah.
as we dive into the performances, some players that are underperforming right now is your boy Brandon
Yeah.
Nemo. I'm sorry. And as I look at it right now, I'm a big batting average guy still to this day. But he's batting 234, 235. His WAR 2.4, really not bad. 11 stolen bases. I would have liked to see that number raised a little bit, but then again, I don't see enough of him. And this is just my personal opinion. I've never really been a big fan of Brandon Nemo, to be honest, but he is a Mets favorite, so I give him that respect. On base percentage, 352. I think that's pretty solid. Well, what are some of your observations on his performance so far?
Well, I feel like for majority of the season, he's doing pretty well. He got in a massive hitting slump ever since the All-Star break. Like about maybe like a week and a half prior to the All-Star break to present day today. We're in August. And I feel like that's just dipped his batting average drastically. His OPS was mostly around 800 plus for most of the year. As you can see, it dipped. He's still an above average hitter as his OPS plus is at 121. As I
Yeah,
mentioned before, league
good
average
point.
100. To your point, I do agree. I wish his stolen base numbers was higher. I always felt this even years ago. I feel like he has good speed to steal more bases, but I guess the reason he doesn't is due to he doesn't get the best jumps, I guess, at reading when he's on base. So maybe that's the risk reward factor, and he uses his speed more going extra bases or taking the extra base when around. So, but I do agree. The power numbers is there so far this year, and hopefully he ends the year again a little heading towards upwards, because he does have a career high in RBI. So the production is there. He just has to hit more consistently, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with your take there. I feel as though, dude, at this point, if you just get hot closer towards September and into playoffs, the
Yeah.
Mets are gonna need that. Another
Yeah.
player that the Mets desperately need to perform well as of right now is Pete Alonso. I felt as though he could be better, but at the same time, my expectations with him, especially when it comes down to batting average, is not that high. So I feel like his batting average right now is where it should be. But I will say his power numbers compared to previous years has definitely gone down a little bit. You are already shaking your head. What are some thoughts and opinions on Peter Alonso right now?
Damn, it hurts me talking about this dude like this because I actually like him. But my observation remains what I've seen all year. I feel like when he's at the plate, he swings at a lot of balls outside the strike zone. It's easy to make him chase. Pitches that are down the middle, he often either looks, let them passes by, or when he's swinging, he fouls it off to the back. And what that's telling me is that he's just not seeing the ball. A lot of the times when he's setting the ball in play, he looks beat. He doesn't look like he's going opposite field on purpose. He goes opposite field because he's late on the ball, and that's a big difference. He doesn't pull enough either, even on home runs. I feel like he doesn't use his hips all the way, and it's a lot of upper body movement. And I feel like he has a lot of bounciness when he hits. I don't know if you guys notice when he plays, but I recommend you guys to see him. He bounces a lot when he swings, and I feel like that changes his eye trajectory. So I feel like that's something that should be picked up on. Also his home run rate, it's much lower, career low all time as in his career. I'm not sure he even gets to 40 home runs this year at the way he's sitting. The OPS is abysmal for a power slugger like him. 790. I don't want that as my fourth batter. I don't want that any more than that. Numbers do show that he's still an above average hitter at 125 OPS plus. Another stat that I have on my end, it says
Yeah.
Pete Alonso this year, he's batting 198 with a slugging of 359 with runners in scoring position this year. So that's the big issue. He's just not hitting. He's just not producing runs this year. His homers are mostly solo home runs. He's striking out a lot, and when it comes to the plate in high leverage moments, he's just not cashing in this year. And another stat that I have is this is his career low. Like I mentioned, he's hitting 198. His best seasons In 2022, when the Mets won 100 plus games, he hit 300 for average and runners in scoring position. And his rookie year, he had 246. And last year, he had 250, 257. So obviously, the slugging was higher and the average was higher. This year, he just hasn't gotten going. And that's the issue with the Mets. Like, I'm surprised we have an over 500 record. I'm surprised we made this run with him being cold. But at some point, he has to step up. Like you mentioned, heading into the playoffs, key players have to step up. Him, Nemo, Francisco Alvarez, they have to step up for the team to have any type of chance. So make it interesting towards the end of the year, you know?
I agree. I agree. Uh, you being the Met fan, it's going to be a two-part question. You being a Met fan, would you re-sign him to the Mets?
Ooh.
Part,
He's definitely tanking that value. And whatever we offered him, if it's accurate or not, he's definitely not getting nothing close to that.
yeah.
He's not getting, he's not getting 200 million and he's not getting over 7 years. That's what I predict. And I feel like even now with this season, I'm not sure he gets a long-term contract. I think teams will be willing to play maybe a 1, 2, 3 year deal, similar to how Cody Bellinger got a deal. Remember for Chicago,
I
where it was
agree.
a risk. Oh, this guy fell off. Let's see what he has and prove it that you can go back to your best form. And maybe that's the situation that Peter Alonso's working himself in. It just sucks that he has Scott Boras as his agent, and I feel like that just does not help.
It
You know, it
doesn't.
doesn't help that pressure.
He
That the
doesn't rub me as a Scott Boras client at all. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't know,
I don't
bro.
know.
Maybe he regrets not signing the extension earlier and he took the advice of his agent. Like those are factors that has to be considered. And I feel like every game as it gets closer to the end of the season, he's probably pressing more and thinking about like, damn, every at bat is costing me $100,000 or something. I don't know what he thinks, but that's probably how
Probably.
somebody would think, you know, in somebody's mind.
I would think that. Would you think that as if you were in his shoes?
Probably.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. He's what, like 30, 31, I believe. He's trying to get his payday. He didn't come up that early, you know. He went to college for a few years. You know, he's trying to get his payday. He's not gonna get the payday that he envisioned, especially with the downfall of this season. So I don't know. But to answer your question, it's hard, bro, because again, we have such a loaded projected infield going forward, like that I'm willing to consider Mark Vientos to be a first baseman just so that Ronnie Mauricio could play third base, you know,
Ah,
and
I like the versatility. Yeah.
go with a
Good
younger
move.
team. You know, like if I gotta take Vientos of this year versus Pete Alonso of this year, I'm taking Vientos, you know, and he's much younger. So I don't know. That's something that I have to consider. Maybe Alonso becomes the full-time DH if JD leaves. I'll probably consider like a 1, 2 year deal with an opt out or something, or like a team option somewhere
Mhm.
around 27 ish, 28 million maybe.
Yeah, you answered the second part of my question. I was gonna ask you like, what would a Pete Alonso contract look like? And I think you nailed it on the head when you said that his contract could look very Cody Bellinger like, where
Yeah.
it's like low risk, high reward. Let's bring him in. Let's give him this bag, and let's include a lot of opt-ins or opt-outs or whatever you call it. And let's see how he performs. I think honestly, that's probably what's gonna happen. I think going into this offseason, I mean, I don't know. Having Scott Boras as a client, you already know what happened last year where all of his clients signed late. I think it's probably gonna happen again this year, and I think that Peter is gonna hurt Pete Alonso the most.
Yeah, and you remember like Scott Boras, the way he dealt with his clients last year, like teams are observing that, you know, and they like you said, they might hold them to like way late into the
Well,
offseason.
the track record in general, if you look at
Yeah,
previous Scott Boras clients,
yeah.
a lot of teams overpaid for those type of athletes, and they end up underperforming. So to your point, I agree. I agree.
And on top of that, is Juan Soto Scott Boras too?
Yeah. So all
So
the
I feel
focus is gonna be on him.
that's my point.
Exactly.
That's my point. All the money's gonna go to him first. So you're not a
Exactly.
priority, you know, like that.
And we've seen examples of that when, he was prioritizing Blake Snell
Yeah.
and, the Jordan Montgomerys of the world and everybody else kind of took a back seat to that. And it happens. I mean, I do think that the MLB is, I'm not going to say they're conspiring against Scott Boras, but I think the jig is up. I think they know that what he's about and what his clients are about, and they already know, bro. And I think that you have a lot of teams now that don't want to spend. You have a lot of teams. I just saw a graphic where the Nationals, the A's, of course, the A's, the Rays, uh, all of the payroll is under $50 million. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Like
So
like
you
we
have a
talked
lot more
about
teams that don't want to spend money.
like we talked about, I believe the episode prior when I mentioned there should be a floor cap. Like there
Absolutely.
should be a minimum the team has to spend because that's not acceptable either. You can't be having teams with a $50 million payroll and then you have a team like the Yankees, the Mets, and the Dodgers, and Phillies. They over 300 mil. Like it
But they
doesn't
try
create
to
that balance.
cap them. The teams that are actually willing to spend, they're trying to put a cap on them so that they don't essentially they don't get everybody. But if you have the Cincinnati Reds, the Rays, if you have all these teams that don't spend money, at the end of the day, who's missing out more is the athletes, the players. They're the ones that are getting asked out because they're not getting their payday, their well-deserved payday because these teams don't want to spend. So
And on top of that, it's like, yeah, okay, sure. So the rule is to try to limit how much these teams spent with a tax. But then again, you're not penalizing teams for not spending because it's not like these teams are trying to get these free agents and they don't land them. They just don't try.
they don't try at all.
So
They
it's
don't
like,
try at all.
how do you incentivize that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look at Tommy Pham, for example. I remember he was on a podcast. We spoke about it briefly, how I gained a little bit more respect from Tommy Pham because of what he said on the podcast. He mentioned that he didn't get his first offer, his very first offer after an entire offseason until early April.
Oof.
And then now he goes into this year, gets traded at the trade deadline, and all of a sudden he's wanted. But back when he was a free agent and you could have been on his services, no team wanted him.
See what
I,
you're
I,
saying.
I think we
I
should
do I
definitely
like
park
him.
this. Yeah, I feel like
I,
we should definitely park this conversation for another episode because I feel like we can really dive into the contracts and the state of the MLB right now and these owners not wanting to spend. So, if you guys want to go ahead and share your opinions on that, please make sure you guys write some comments, like, subscribe, DM us, email us at encodedmediallc at gmail.com, 300 Club Podcast at gmail.com. We would love to share your opinions, even put them up on the show. You never know. To switch gears here, we want to talk about anything else on the mess you want to discuss before I switch gears?
let's go, Mets. Hopefully they turn it around. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, bro. I think you guys definitely stepped it up this year. Like on some serious ish. Like you guys definitely have done your thing. Nah, for real. You gotta give credit where it's due. I mean, I did not think that how the beginning of the year went, that you guys were gonna be this in it. Um,
Facts.
and another team that's in it right now, after a pretty good bounce back, is the Yankees. Right now, we're tied for first place at the time of this recording. With the Orioles, I feel like the Orioles should have been pulled away, especially considering how bad the last 6 weeks have been for the Yankees.
Yeah, I agree.
And then if you look at the videos that I've seen from the Orioles, like they're making all of these like mistakes, like whether it's on the base pass and it's a lot of young rookie mistakes, you know. And I feel like I'm gonna be honest, bro. I think within the next 2 to 3 years, the Orioles are gonna be scary, bro.
Oh, they're gonna take off, bro. Hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
But
players, those players mature and get a little bit closer to their prime. It's gonna be scary for them boys, you know.
yeah, yeah, and well deserved. I mean, they've sucked for so many years, but they did develop a good farm system, and they have a lot of pieces to move. But this ain't about a show about the Orioles. This is about the Yankees and Mets episode right now. One thing that I did want to discuss, I think you've seen it before, was the Yankees have definitely stepped up. They've definitely been on the road since we've acquired Josh Chisholm, which has been phenomenal. But one thing that has not been phenomenal has been Gleyber Torres. I want to go ahead and share this clip really quick. Um,
You consider Gleyber your man's, bro?
Yeah, yeah. Like Gleyber Torres got benched, and I love watching this video, bro, for many reasons. I'm gonna go ahead and share my opinion in a little bit. Hold on.
But do you consider Gleyber Torres your man's? Like, do you support the kid, the guy? I guess the man.
No, I don't. I don't. On multiple fronts. So what had happened was, for the viewers that don't know, um, Gleyber Torres hit a rocket off the wall, but he had assumed that it was gonna be a home run. He ended up not hustling out of the box. Okay. That's something that we've seen before, not just from Glaber, but other athletes as well. To your point, what you mentioned last week, sometimes star players do get a little bit of courtesy. Star players. All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get on a rant right now.
go ahead, bro.
Glaber Torres has lost that type of respect for me. And the reason why I say that right now is because Glaber Torres is having an off year. On the
Hmm.
defensive end, he's been arguably one of the worst second basemen.
Yeah,
If things are not going your way,
yeah,
There should not be an excuse as to why you're not hustling your ass down the line for every ball that you hit. I don't care if it's a ground ball, a chopper. I don't care if it's a home run that you assumed. You should be hustling out of the box. If you want to go ahead and pad your stats just so you could get a big payday at the end of the day, then by all means. But you jogging out the batter's box for me, anybody, I have a big issue with. Secondly, and this is the other thing that gets me upset, was the fact that because he didn't hustle at the box, he stayed at first base, right?
Yeah,
The plays after that, he could have scored because I believe the person that batted after him,
he got away home. I remember.
right? He ended up getting out of home,
Yeah,
and it's and
he's trying
it's
to he was trying to
and we're
make up for now hustling. So now he's being overly aggressive in the base paths. Course the Yankees a big inning potentially, and that's how it starts. And at that point, you have a negative war. At that point in that game, you lost runs for your
fuck the
team.
war. It's not even about the war. It's about and that game right there, bro. We were down one. It's not like you were up
Yeah,
seven, or it's not like you were down
yeah.
10. You're literally in it, and he does that. So, after that, I think he played a inning in the infield to allow the person who was going to replace him to warm up. So I understood that. When he got out the game, he they're combating with Aaron Boone or whatever the case is, to the point where Aaron Boone, from what it looks like, snaps at him and says something, and then he eventually leaves, and then he comes back to the dugout and supports his teammate. All right, Gleyber Torres to me is not a star at this very moment. I think he has the potential to be a star, but there's just something wrong there this season. It's just he's just not mentally there. I don't know if it's because he's worried about the payday at the end of the year. Like, yo, bro, you're gonna get millions regardless. That shouldn't even be in your mind, bro. You know, like you're getting paid to do something that you love to do.
I got a
So
question.
yeah, go ahead.
Go back to the video real quick if you can.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I got you. It's just,
Yeah,
God, yo, that really
I
gets
want
me
to ask a
tight,
question.
bro.
I want to ask you a question as a Yankee fan. Play that. Let me see. Play the video one more time. So you see Judge is there. Judge is talking to another. He's talking to the third base coach,
Yeah, yep.
former Mets manager Luis Rojas, right? Do you think he's not shown in this frame, but he's behind Glaber? Do you think some of that blame is to be put on Judge, as great as he is, in terms of him being the captain and a leader to the team?
Hold on. I want to show the audience this really quick. This is what I'm talking about when he gives it right back to him. And I
Yeah,
was so proud of Aaron Boone there, bro. And I feel like that was long overdue. And I'm gonna get into Boone in a minute. Your question is that do I feel that as the captain that Aaron Judge failed in that moment?
his presence should be more involved in at least making sure he's more focused because it doesn't look like it. This is just a one-time thing. Like he's had mental lapses throughout the whole season, and potentially, you have Juan Soto on a rental that you don't know if he's coming back. You're trying to compete for a championship. Like you need every piece to click. So this part of that goes to the leader, to the captain. Because depending on the team that you're in, if that happens, let's say Bryce Harper is your teammate, Bryce Harper might come at Gleyber Torres for that. You know what I mean? Bryce Harper is more vocal when it comes to stuff like that. I'm just saying a name, for example.
Right, right,
So
right. No, but
would you, would
realistic
you
too. That's a realistic example. Absolutely.
would you expect that out of Judge, and should that be expected out of him?
No. I feel like everybody leads differently. And I
Okay.
do expect somebody like a Bryce Harper to approach you in the dugout and say, hey, we don't do that here. We hustle. I expect that out of some leaders of the clubhouse. I've observed that Aaron Judge he's not the type of guy to do that. And I don't expect that to him. I feel like the thing is that he lives such a private life and he
Yeah,
approaches people very privately. And if you hear his interviews, he really doesn't give a lot to say, honestly. And I respect that. You don't want to stir anything in the clubhouse. I feel like Aaron Judge is definitely the type of person to pull him outside when the game is over or behind closed doors and say, yo, listen, you should not have done that. So to answer your question, I don't think that falls on Aaron Judge. I feel like that was Aaron Boone's responsibility right then and there. And that's why I'm saying I respect him a lot more for doing that. I am not a fan of Aaron Boone. I feel like there are a lot of managers that are better than him. I feel like Aaron Boone really favors the players. And he's a yes man to Cashman, which I get it. If you're a manager in the MLB, you're going to be a yes man to whatever the organization tells you. If the GM tells you Aaron Judge is going to bat fourth, Aaron Judge got to bat fourth, bro. There's nothing you can do. But Aaron Boone to me has not been on these players' ass to and hold them accountable. He just hasn't done that. When I look at the Alex Coros of the world, he does that. He holds them accountable. He benches players. He doesn't care who they are. if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the first time in 4, 5, 6, 7 years that Aaron Boone has benched the player in the middle of a game.
Yeah, I've never seen
And,
that from.
and we have lost to the Astros, the Red Sox. We have gotten swept. We have gotten and it took year 6, 7, whatever, for him to finally bench a player. It was long overdue, and I'm glad that he did it. And I feel like in that moment, it was Aaron Boone's responsibility to bench him for real.
And but back to my point too, like I like your points, but back to my point in regards to Judge, if it's not going to be Judge, it has to be somebody, one of the best players on the team to do that. Because if you look back at the Yankees in the previous era, Jeter was the captain, but you also had a vocal leader in CC Sabathia, and CC's going to tell you how it is. Yeah, he's a pitcher, but he's going to tell you he took that leadership role as a team to be the vocal face of the team. Maybe Garrett Cole has to do that, but then Garrett Cole's not playing well this year either. But somebody has to have that identity. It can't be Jazz because he just got to the team.
Well,
It's not going to be Soto because Soto's not like that. It has to. So that's what I'm saying. It has
I
to
was gonna
fall on
say that.
somebody. And ideally,
Um,
ideally, you want your best players to speak up on the right moments. Because players follow great players.
well, I think that's what I'm saying. I wholeheartedly believe that Aaron Judge definitely did it behind closed doors. But I definitely understand your point that somebody else has to do that, like get in your face and say. But here's the thing, I don't feel like right now. I feel like the Yankees do definitely have those characters on the team right now, but none of those players has been on that team longer than Glaber. So I find it extremely difficult that somebody like a Marcus Stroman or a Jazz or a Verdugo can come up to him and say, "We don't do that here." Because if I'm
Yeah,
Glaber, I'm looking at him like, "Who the fuck are you?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
just got here." So
Yeah.
it's like we don't really have that veteran CC in the clubhouse that's been there for 8 years, and
It has to be
regardless,
Judge, bro. It has to be Judge.
It has to be him. That's what I'm saying. I think he might have done it behind closed doors. I would find it astonishing. I would strip him of his captaincy if I find out that he did not approach him and at the end of the game and say we do not do that here. Because
Yeah,
what's the point of you being the captain, bro? You know? But I
yeah,
just don't feel like we have that character right now that can be accepted because they really haven't been there for that long. If Marcus Stroman was there 4 years prior, I think that he definitely earned his stripes, pun
yeah,
intended, to say that to Glaber. But the fact is, Glaber's been there for 7, 8 years. Who else has been there as long as Judge? There's nobody. So
yeah.
I feel like it came from the right people. I'm glad that it happened. I don't see Glaber Torres coming back. I find him extremely emotional right now. I find him just not being able to focus on the game. And it's just like, bro, just focus on the game, bro. Like, focus on what you got to do day in and day out. I am going to give him props. Shout out to him for coming back into the dugout and support his teammates. If you want to call this supporting his teammates, then I'll take it, but it is what it is. Enough on Gleyber Torres, bro, because he gets me tight. He gets me tight. Another Yankee that I want to go ahead and discuss that's been getting me tight is Marcus Stroman. Ah, dude. I think it's fair to raise the question about our playoff rotation. I think it's safe to say that we're probably going to make a playoff run. And I question about the rotation because we do have a lot of question marks. Garrett Cole is not pitching that well, but he's a lock for the playoffs. Rodon, we shall see. He's been pitching well, but we shall see. Luis Hill, he's a rookie. We shall see. Clark Schmidt is injured. We don't know. Nestor Cortez, nah. I'm sorry, nah. Like Nestor Cortez is the type of pitcher to me that, like, let's say if somebody goes down, you give the ball to him, and next thing you know, this nigga becomes the next Villanueva. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you never know. But Marcus Sherman to me is a key part of what the playoff pitcher could look like. The thing is with Marcus Sherman is that after the All-Star break, or at least as the season progresses, he eventually declines. His fastball has been flatter. His sinker barely has any movement. As we look at his percentile right now, this dude is nearly all blue. Like you can't get ice cold in that, bro. And it's like I question. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you know about the Phantom IO?
Yo, what?
Do you know about the concept of the Phantom IO?
No, what's that?
So the Phantom IO is a phrase that we use in baseball now that it typically what it attains to is putting a player on the IL that's not really hurt. And the reason why people tend to do this is to either give a minor leaguer an opportunity, give that MLB player a breather, whether it's to correct some mechanics or just have a few days off type shit. So they'll essentially put them on the IL with a fake injury
Hmm.
just so they can have a break. I feel like Marcus Stroman needs to be put on the Phantom IL like yesterday.
They just
And the
got out of
reason
the
why,
All-Star break, bro.
huh?
They just got out of the
Not
All-Star break.
enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. So now that I think you understand the concept of a Phantom IL,
Mhm.
in general, what are your thoughts on that? First reactions on the idea of a Phantom IL, putting a player on the IL that's not necessarily injured, but it's more of a breather, get your mechanics right, so on.
That sounds like tampering to me, bro. I feel like you can't do that in the NBA and basketball. You can't do that. You gotta have a
But
legit
look,
injury
the NBA had their own version of it, did they not?
or low management.
Exactly.
No, but that was actual injuries though. And that,
No,
yeah, over
no,
day to day.
no.
Yeah.
It depends on age. It depends on what's been nagging them. It depends. It's just that the MLB does it to give minor leaguers opportunities. A perfect example, honestly speaking, Jacoby Ellsbury. He was put on the Phantom IL for like 2 years straight. Why? Because the Yankees just didn't want to have him on the team, so they gave the opportunity to other people. Bad example, but it is very common. Now, I feel like Marcus Stroman needs to be on that, bro. I feel like he definitely needs a breather, and it's a trend. It's every single midway point of the season, he eventually declines. You had him
But
on the
like
Mets. You
I
probably
feel
seen it too.
I feel like that's been a talk that I wanted to like reluctantly like not acknowledge, but it's looking like it's very accurate. Like a lot of people say that he's a good first half pitcher, and the second half he seems out of gas. Like he's just like, tired. Like mechanics is not there. Everything's
No,
flat. And it's like that's probably why he blocks people on Twitter. Maybe he doesn't want to hear the harsh reality, but it's looking like it. It's a repetitive pattern, you know. History doesn't lie. The numbers are there. Um, I do agree that in order for the Yankees to have any type of success, you have to have a productive Marcus Stroman. Like the Yankees are not winning nothing without Marcus
but and
Stroman.
I'm not talking about how playoffs have trended recently, where it's like you will either have an opener or your starter will go two, three, maybe 4 innings, and then it's bullpen, bullpen,
Oh, I hate
bullpen.
that. I hate
I'm
that,
not.
bro.
I'm not. I hate that too. That's a discussion that towards into playoffs. But Marcus Stroman is the type of person that we need him to go 5 innings. Our bullpen is not that elite yet, but we need him. And it's just at this point, I look at it as like, yo, bro, just take 2 weeks off, man. Fuck it.
I don't know what it is, but all I know is that from seeing him, he's more vocal when he's doing well, and when he's quiet, he shuts down and he doesn't really interact with people, not even on Twitter
Mhm.
like that. So,
And I think that's just a result of him. I think it's just being tired, bro. And it happens. You throw
and you're small too,
thousands,
maybe.
and he's small, exactly. Like small pitchers typically don't last long. And we have prospects that we could definitely give a try. We have, September's coming up, September call-ups are coming up. We have the Will Warrens on the world. Like, it's okay to kind of take a back seat. I just feel like it's better to do it now than have him continue on this trend and then
He could
tell
be
him
burnt out. Yeah,
yeah, and then telling him in the playoffs, like, yo, bro, no funny, but you're probably not gonna be starting. And that's probably gonna hurt him. He
yeah.
came to New
So,
York for that reason. So it's like, yo, bro, take the time off right now, you know?
hey
But
guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is great. A lot of great content back and forth. You get to see some of my personality, so as Kelvin's. And as you wrap it up, do you have any closing statements or words, Kelvin?
nah, man, it's gonna be an exciting month. I feel like this month the Yankees and the Mets both have predominantly easy schedules. You guys do definitely have some important games, but I think it's definitely doable for you guys. As far as the Yankees go, like I said, I just feel like with the pitching staff needs to do a little bit better. Garrett Cole, I honestly think that we should probably go into a 6-man rotation. I forgot to leave that out.
I
I think
mentioned
that would probably be do some justice. Um, and yeah, besides that, man, I just want the Yankees to have a City Connect uniform. I'm gonna jack that to the end. But thank you guys for watching the 300 Club podcast. My name is Kelvin. This is Gil. Go ahead and sign us out, bro.
It's episode 14. You already know. Follow us on all socials, comment, share, subscribe. Help us reach our goals. And we give you guys more content. Thank you very much. Have a good night. You know.